Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm your host for today's show. Now, this is a topic I've been wanting to discuss for quite a while now. I think it's the perfect time to discuss it as Trent ironically played a different role quite recently for Liverpool against Arsenal last weekend, where he was playing as an inverted fullback, which allowed him to play more infield or more positionally as a midfielder. So, in terms of Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's been getting a lot of attention regarding his defensive duties, especially this season, and particularly because Liverpool have been so poor and a shadow of themselves this season. And I think this was probably highlighted this time last year when, unfortunately, he didn't get selected for the England squad, and Gareth Southgate made a claim that he needed to improve defensively. So now a lot of old school fans will be saying, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a defender. He should be great at defending, and going forward should come secondary. Well, my response is, where have you been, Grandad? Football has evolved since the days when a fullback is regarded solely as a defender. In the modern game, which is the time that we're living in right now, fullbacks are the main source of creativity. The role of fullback has changed dramatically, and it's a very important cog for any team in this day and age. Liverpool's success over the last 5 to 6 years is down to playing a certain type of football. And in a traditional team, the midfield is a source of creativity. But for Liverpool, that comes from the fullback, and that's no secret. Everyone knows that. Our midfield is renowned to be the engine of our team, and they take the responsibility, especially our two number eights, to cover the fullbacks when they bomb down the wing to attack. So our fullbacks, as in Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, are not required to defend. It's a tactical approach. So in previous years, Trent has not been asked or has not been instructed to focus heavily on defending. His sole responsibility was to get assists and be the playmaker of this team. So it's so easy to say, oh, he's so bad at defending. But his role as a fullback is different to any other team. That's what makes him unique and a cut above the rest. And technically, for me, there's not many that can step to him. One of the downfalls this season for Liverpool is the midfield, as they do not have the legs, and therefore the tactical approach regarding our fullbacks have gone to shreds. Now, there's a big agenda on Trent for his performances this season, but I have to be honest. I think there's one player that's not getting that same kind of treatment, and I'm not talking about any other player from any other team. It's within Liverpool, and that's Robertson. He's been just as bad, in my opinion. So this is clear evidence and proof that our system has failed this season, and major surgery is required to play in the same manner that we have been doing in the last 5 years. So with that being said, the big question is, for us Liverpool fans, should Trent Alexander-Arnold make that transition into midfield? For me, the answer is yes. I think it's time for him to make that transition, probably from next season. Now, the inverted role that we saw against Arsenal was good, but I want to see him more as a traditional midfielder, playing as a right-sided centre mid in the Liverpool team. I think when he's deployed as an inverted fullback, the current right-sided midfielder, which currently would be either Henderson or Elliott, it takes away a lot of their game to cover his ground, and then Konate has to play two roles as well. So against some oppositions, it works, or one or two games, tactically is a great approach. But I think if you look down the history of Liverpool, Klopp likes to play a certain way, and for him, that is just one single approach, and that's to play heavy metal football. So with that being said, what I'll do is I'll present a tactics board and just show you where I see Trent Alexander-Arnold being positioned if he was a right-sided midfielder. So let me just show you guys. So here you go. So As you can see, this would be our strongest lineup right now. I'm not going to add any potential summer signings. As you can see on the right hand side, I've written new right back because for me, I believe we should recruit a new right back if this tactical approach was to be implemented. So as you can see, back four, pretty much the same. We'll probably swap Konate. He plays right-sided, and Van Dijk there. And then you've got Fabinho. For me, Fabinho will be replaced in the summer. I don't see him being number one, number six, or defensive midfielder. Whether he leaves the club or not, I don't think he should be first team, in my opinion. But for this argument, he is the DM. And then you've got Thiago and Trent Alexander-Arnold. So the role that Trent Alexander-Arnold, that I vision if this tactic was to be implemented next year or next season, is a similar role that Henderson was playing as well, where you get these players here, it becomes like a triangle. So what would happen is this right back would be bombing down this wing. Salah, traditionally, the way he has been playing over the years, becomes that inside forward. So he attacks alongside the main striker, which will be Nunez. And then you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold covering this area. So whether that's to support the fullback or to come in the middle and then provide through balls to the attackers, that's going to be his sole position in the team. So this area is the area that he will control. And I feel like he already does that playing his right back position. But because we've not had any runners in midfield, he's been exposed this season. So for me, this would make a lot of sense. And then you've got Thiago here, obviously would add that creativity. But I feel like even tactically, so let's say we needed more protection at the back. As we saw against Arsenal, he's capable of playing a double pivot. So let's say Thiago becomes that advanced midfielder. It could be where, these guys cover the fullback, but he can just drop in a bit more attack-minded. And Thiago will have that responsibility to be sort of like the ghost, where he will be the link between the midfield and attack and try and make things happen. So that's just sort of one approach that I see happening. And I feel like Trent actually has the skill set now to be that guy. A lot of people say about Henderson, we should sell him. This is the role that he used to play. But I feel like he doesn't have those legs anymore, fortunately. So it's not for him anymore. And I would like to see Henderson playing more as a number 6 going forward. So let me know what you guys think in terms of this tactical approach. I feel like it would work rather than Trent being that sort of inverted fullback. I would rather see it like this, because then I feel like every player plays to their capability. No one is kind of working on a shift that they really shouldn't be doing. So like Konate, he was pretty much covering his whole zone against Arsenal the other day. For me, that's the new right back's role. His role is to be that guy, bomb up and down, be the creative spark, make those overlapping runs where even he might even try and score a goal to himself. I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit forward-minded than what an average coach would do, but I feel like it could work. If we find the right personnel, I think this tactical approach would be very, very useful. So let me know what you guys think. Now, let's say that somehow Klopp agrees with my approach and it's something that we could look into. It's ironic, actually, because obviously we got that breaking news yesterday that Bellingham is no longer a primary target due to the finance involved, which, I did a reaction yesterday. For me, it wasn't a huge surprise. The timing for some is odd. I feel like the timing was done because FSG realized that we're not going to get Champions League football, so there's no point of stringing the fans along anymore. As a lot of fans truly believed that he was coming. Unfortunately, I wasn't one of them. I did have a glimmer of hope that, oh, maybe he could be that signing. But for me, it was never on the cards. The financial package was too high for Liverpool to accommodate, not something that Liverpool tend to do. So with this approach, if Trent Alexander-Arnold does become a right-sided midfielder, who would take his place? Would it be someone within the squad? Would it be a Joe Gomez, or would it be Calvin Ramsey, who we signed last season? For me, it's neither players. Neither of them deserve to be first choice right back in the team. Gomez, for me, is too defensive minded to play the role that I would want our fullback to play. And Calvin Ramsey is too inexperienced. He's had an injury plagued season this season. So, it's too much to ask for a 19-year-old to come in and do that, especially when he hasn't had any first team football with the club. So, with that in mind, I've got a list of targets that I feel like maybe we could consider in the summer. So let me show a graphic with you guys. So here are some targets that I have. So for me, if I was director of football, my first choice would be the guy on the left, Jeremy Frimpong, who is, and the prices here, don't quote me on this. This is the sort of speculation or the transfer value that I'm seeing online. He would be available for around £30 million. He's heavily linked with Manchester United, so it might not be one that would be happening, but he's the one that fits the bill for me. Very, very quick player, attacks that right hand side. He's been deployed as a wing back this season, as soon as the Bayer Leverkusen appointed a new manager, and that is Xabi Alonso, our former legend there. And he's really flourished playing that position. He's had a great relationship with Moussa Diaby, another player that I really, really like. And he's been scoring a lot of goals. I believe he's got 8 goals and 6 assists so far this season. So he's definitely one to watch. And the great thing about signing Jeremy Frimpong would be he's homegrown. He started his career at Manchester City and only made the move to Celtic 3-4 years ago. So he fits that homegrown quota, which is perfect because we're having a lot of players departing or potentially departing in the summer that are homegrown. So we do need to replace them in the squad. So why not get a signing like Frimpong, who's come through the City ranks, and everyone knows the City Youth Academy is one of the best in the country, maybe even Europe. He's played his football in Celtic. He's playing in the Bundesliga. So for a young player, he's managed to gain a lot of experience. So he would be my first choice. Let's say he wasn't a target because Manchester United are trying to get him, or he gets interest from Bayern Munich, which is actually another rumor as well. I'd consider the fella alongside him, which is Alexander Barr, a Danish international who plays for Benfica. He was signed a couple of years ago, I think, by Red Star Belgrade. And he's an interesting player. Very, very quick, very skillful. Has great crossing ability, but his crossing ability is not the traditional high whipped cross. It's more the low passes, and they're very, very accurate. So I feel like he would add a different dimension to this team. And yeah, I think he'll definitely take that burden off Trent to just play his game, be that creative spark in midfield rather than being the creative spark as a fullback. We're probably the only team that relies heavily on our fullback for that creativity. So why not be a bit more traditional, but get real players of top quality that can boss the midfield and also defensively be great all round, attacking wise and defensively. I know Gary Neville made a comment a few days ago saying that Trent might not be able to make that transition due to the fact that he hasn't played in midfield. He doesn't know the whereabouts of that role. He needs to have a certain amount of games to understand the role. It's not the same as playing a fullback. Well, let me correct you, Gary Neville, because Trent Alexander-Arnold started his young career as a centre midfielder. It's only when he turned 18, Klopp converted him into this attacking fullback. So he's been playing fullback for about 5-6 years, but for like God knows how many years he's been box to box midfielder. Every Liverpool fan knows that, so it's no surprise that we're having this discussion. A lot of fans have actually told me that they've been wanting Trent to be midfield for years. I wasn't quite on board with that 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago, but this isn't the way the team's just folded. I feel like we have to look for reinventions in the team, and whether that's acquiring other players from around Europe or around the world remains to be seen, because it's not quite clear in terms of what the budget is at the club. But I feel like we've been so heavily focused on Bellingham. Maybe Trent can be that guy in that team, that box-to-box player that scores the goals but is the creative spark, because technically he's one of the best in world football. So yeah, back to Alexander Barr. I feel like he'd be an interesting appointment, and in the right back position, I think he would definitely add a different dimension. And then we have a lot of other options here as well. So Riedler Baku. So fun fact regarding this player, he was actually named after the former Liverpool and Germany striker Karl-Heinz Riedler. So if you're an old head like me, you probably remember him from the 90s. He was at Liverpool for a couple of years. So yeah, he's actually named after him. So he's an interesting player. A German international, was playing as a right midfielder in his early career, but has been converted to playing right back. Very strong in his tackling, very good with the ball, very athletic, and can definitely do a shift on that right-hand side. So a good option. And there's already been rumors circulating that he's ready to leave the club. So for 13 million, that's not a bad acquisition at all. Another one that's actually been strongly linked with Liverpool is Devin Wrench, who is the fullback for Ajax. I believe he's available for around 20 million. A player that has been utilized quite a lot. He's been playing left back at times, centre back, right back. Hasn't even played defensive midfield. So he's got that education from Ajax, where he's technically a great footballer, great attack-minded. Some may have question marks in terms of his defensive ability, but I feel like he would definitely add a different dimension. Obviously, Klopp can coach him and actually say to him, look, you do need to concentrate on the defensive duties, rather than what happened with Trent, where Trent was never really asked to defend. That was Gini's role in the team. That was Henderson's role in the team, to cover these guys when they bombed forward. So he would be an interesting acquisition. I know Manchester United are also linked. A lot of these players are linked to Manchester United because they are in the market for a top right back. So remains to be seen what happens. Another one is Max Aaron. So a player that was linked with the likes of Bayern Munich, Manchester United, Arsenal, all the top teams in Europe, but never really got his move. So I believe he's searching, or he's getting a lot of interest from other clubs. In fact, one of the clubs is Wolfsburg, who Riedler Baku plays for, and actually they're seeing him as his replacement in the team. So both available for a similar fee of between 10 to 12 million pounds, or 13 million I've written there. He would be an interesting player. Could he do it week in, week out? Remains to be seen. But in terms of technicality, he fits that homegrown quota. So an interesting player nevertheless. Just got a comment here from Victor Jomo. Gary Neville has no idea what he's saying about Trent. Was a midfielder in the past when he was a Liverpool Academy player. Spot on, Victor. Yeah, I think you said your comment twice there. But yeah, you're spot on. That's literally what I've just said. We all know that as Liverpool fans. And to be fair, Gary Neville should have known that as well. But yeah, lazy analysis from him, which is no surprise. But yeah, he's been playing centre midfield all his life. Because Klopp had this system in mind, he fit the bill. And, a lot of people say that, oh, Trent is a system player. I actually feel like a lot of players nowadays are built for systems now. You're not going to get one player where he flourishes in another team. Tactically, every coach is different, and you try to get the best out of the players you have in your team. So with Trent, his strong asset is his passing range and technical ability. If you look at all the right backs in the world football, no one really has that kind of ability on the ball like Trent. So that gives us the advantage. But now I feel like it's time for him to evolve and make that transition midfield. So who knows if it happens? I know the good sign was to see him playing in that inverted role, but remains to see what happens. Other targets that we could look into, Matty Cash. I know he's not a flashy name as the other players on the list, but stylistically, I think he's a good fullback. Known for his technical ability, great with his crossing. Has had a mixed season under Unai Emery, so could be available. 20 minutes what I've quoted there, could be high, could be lower. Who knows? Homegrown as well, Polish international. Interesting player to look at. The next player, I think we all know is a top talent, but question marks in terms of his availability. He's been injured for about a year now. He's just returned from injury, and it's been a tough one as well, to say the least. But with Southampton potentially getting relegated, it might be one to look into. I know some may have said, why not look at Kyle Walker-Peters, who plays week in, week out. Me personally, I think Livramento is the better player and would suit our system to the T. 25 million might be a bit low, considering that Chelsea actually have a buyback clause that can be activated this summer. And I believe that fee is quoted for around 34 million. So I don't think they will activate that clause because they've already got Reece James, who was terrible against Real Madrid, by the way, but that's another story. And they've also signed a player from Lyon, Gusto, I think he is, and they've actually sent him back on loan for the remainder of the season. So he will be there next summer. So they've got two solid right backs there already. So I don't see them going for Livramento for that price. But hey, Todd Bowley likes to play FIFA career mode in real life. So who knows? Next player is Benjamin Henrichs, who plays for Leipzig. He's been strongly linked with a move to Juventus and Roma. An all-round player. Attacking wise, he's good, but he's not the best. But he has a good all-round game, so maybe one to look into. Another player that has been definitely catching the eye of a lot of clubs. I saw a story earlier on where it was rumored that 30 clubs were after his signature last year, but he decided to play on for his current team, Real Valladolid, who is actually owned by Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo, R9. So, yeah, so that's Ivan Facendo. He is a right back, 18, 19 years old. Definitely one for the future. Very strongly linked with Arsenal in the January window. Who knows? They might be going back for him again in the summer. Very interesting player. Very strong on the ball. Has great crossing ability. He's actually said that he's one of his favorite players to watch is Trent Alexander-Arnold. So why not join the club where you can actually learn off the guy yourself? So an interesting proposition for him there. And finally, probably like a wild card. I don't see us signing a player of that valuation, but who knows? Is Denzel Dumfries, who is being linked with a 50 million move to Manchester United and Arsenal as well. For me, a decent player. Questionable in terms of defensive ability, as he's probably better suited to a wing-back role rather than playing in the back four. But nevertheless, Holland international, scores goals, very strong in the tackle as well. So could be an interesting one. So let me know what you guys think in terms of the selection I have here, the 10 targets here. Would you consider any of them? Do you agree with me in terms of Frimpong being that guy? Or is there someone that I've missed out? Maybe there's a player in mind that you feel like would do a better job playing at right back for Liverpool. So love to hear from you guys. Drop a comment below, let me know. So yeah, so that's my targets there. That's my vision for next season, to have Trent Alexander-Arnold playing as an RCM in midfield. You know, we we saw the news about Bellingham, so we need to now move on and target other midfielders. And I feel like Trent Alexander-Arnold could be that guy, could be the one to play that box-to-box midfield, like someone from the past that we've been craving for since Steven Gerrard. So, not saying he's going to become Steven Gerrard or of that ilk, but we've been looking for a successor. So, for me, he could be that guy. But maybe I'm kind of overthinking it, but that's just the way I see things right now. So, that concludes the show for today. So, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to Victor for your comment there. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, love to get your thoughts on this tactical approach that I have about Trent Alexander-Arnold. The next show will be taking place this Sunday as I do a match preview of Leeds United. Let's hope it's not the same scenario where we beat Manchester United 7-0 and then lose to Bournemouth. You know, we didn't beat Arsenal, but it was a great performance. We got the point. Let's not bring it back to square one and go losing on to Leeds United. But if it does, it's very Liverpool of us this year. But hey, let's stay positive. Fingers crossed we get the win, climb up the table. Who knows what the future has. But that's it, guys. So take care, stay safe, and I hope to see you all very soon. Goodbye.